Hello class, we are about to start section 3.1. Now, in section 3.1 is simplifying algebraic expressions. An algebraic expression is made up of sums and differences of terms. A term is a number, also called a constant, a variable, or the product of a number and a variable. In a variable term, the number part is called the numerical coefficient, or just the coefficient for short. Now, as you see here, I have a few things here filled out, pre-filled out, so it will make everything go by faster. Now we come down here to this exercise box where we have our expression, terms, and coefficients. Now, terms are only separated by addition or subtraction. We discussed that earlier in the class. So this is what we would do. We notice here that we have a subtraction sign and a plus sign. So we have 1, 2, 3 terms. Now we have to separate those terms. They want us to list the terms. We have 3x, and this minus 5y, we would write that as a negative 5y, and this positive 8, we would write as 8. The coefficient of these variables, we have 3, we have negative 5, and the coefficient of the constant is the constant itself. Now we come down here to the second expression. We have a plus sign, we have a minus sign. So that means we have 3 terms here. Our terms are 9ab. Then we have our plus sign. Our next term is b squared. And our last term, because it's minus a, would be negative a. Our coefficient of this first term, 9ab, is the 9. B squared, even though it's not shown, but the number connected to b or multiplied to b is 1, and that is your coefficient. And finally, negative a. It's assumed to be a 1 in front of the a, just like the b squared, but since it has a negative sign in front of it, the coefficient is negative 1. Now, we scroll down here. We come to like terms. Like terms are terms that have the same variable but different coefficients. Examples: simplified by combining like terms. Now if you look here at problem number 1, we have 4x plus 9. They have the same variable. These two terms have the same variable, but we have different coefficients. So we can add them together. 4x plus 9x. We will add the coefficients together. 4 and 9 gives us 13, and we will bring down our x. Now we come to problem number 2. We have our variable as m and m. These are like terms. We can subtract. We subtract the coefficients. 3 minus 7 will give us a negative 4. And we will bring down our variable. So it'll be a negative 4m. Now for number 3, our variables are a and a. So this is what we would do. Again, we would add the coefficients. Now the coefficient of 2a is 2, and the coefficient of a is 1. So 2 plus 1 is 3, and we will bring our variable down. Now we come to number 4. Now, unlike the rest, we have 3 terms here for number 4. We have negative y squared, 3y squared, and 7y squared. All of them have the same variable, so we can combine them because they are like terms. So, the coefficient of a negative y squared is negative 1. The coefficient of 3y squared is 3. So, negative 1y squared plus 3y squared will give us a positive 2y squared. Now, for some reason, this is not writing. Oh, here we go. Okay. Now, we bring down our 7y squared. 2y squared plus 7y squared is 9y squared. And we're done. Now we come to our next page. We have like terms can be combined, added, or subtracted. And next we have unlike terms cannot be combined, added, or subtracted. So let's take a look at these examples here. Simplify by combining like terms. Okay, now, first of all, we have to determine our like terms. Now, typically we like to write our variables first and our constants last. But you don't have to do that. You can write the constants first and the variables last. That's just a personal preference. Okay, now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. Now, this term here has a y. The only other term that has a y here is this 5y. So we would take this positive 3y plus this positive 5y, which would give us a positive 8y. Again, that's positive 3y plus a positive 5y, which gives us 8y. Now we look here, we have this minus 7 and positive 10. Both of these do not have any variables, so they are like terms. This is negative 7 plus 10, which would give us a positive 3. And we're done with that problem because 8y and 3 are not like terms, so you cannot combine them. Okay, now we come to number 2. Number 2, we have 3x, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 like terms. Now we start off with 3x. The only other x we have here is the positive 6x. So we will combine them. 3x plus 6x is 9x. Now since there are so many terms, I'm going to put a slash through the terms as I go through. Okay, now remember we're trying to put all the variables first. So let's go here to 4y. We have 4y, which is positive, and a minus 15y. So 4y and a minus 15y are like terms. 4y minus 15y will give us a negative 11y. And we need to get rid of those terms. Now we're left with this minus 7 and plus 12. We have two terms that do not have the variables. So negative 7 plus 12 is a positive 5. Now we look here at the terms we have. We have 3 terms here. We have 9x, negative 11y, and a positive 5. None of these are like terms, so we're finished with that exercise. Now we scroll down to section B here. Now we want to multiply expressions. So our examples say simplify by multiplying. So we would take 7 times 3y. Now this 7 will multiply by the 3. 7 times 3 is 21. And we will bring our y down. Sorry about that. I meant to say y. We have 21 times y, which is 21y. Okay, now we get to problem number 2. We have a negative 3 times a positive 4x. Now we know from previous lessons that a negative times a positive is negative. So we would take 3 times 4x, which would give us 12x. And we're done with that example. So we scroll down to a quick definition of the distributive property. I'm going to have to scroll back up because I hit the wrong button and it scrolled down a little too fast. So coming back up here, we have the definition of the distributive property. The distributive property is the process of multiplying over addition or subtraction. So we come here to this first example. We have 5 multiplied by the parenthesis of x plus 7. Now inside this parenthesis, we have a plus sign here. So that is addition. So we can multiply over those terms. So we would take this 5 times that x. And then we would take this same 5 and multiply it by the y. And I will illustrate it below. We will have 5 times x plus 5 times 7. Now if you notice here, I took the 5 times the first term and took the 5 times the second term, and I brought down the operation. So now when we multiply, 5 times x is 5x, 5 times 7 is 35. Okay, this is the distributive property. Now we try the same thing here. This time we have a subtraction sign. Now in this parenthesis, we still have two terms. We had 2x and 15. So now we're going to multiply 7 by both of these terms. So we'll multiply 7 into 2x, and then we will also multiply 7 by 15. So we will have 7 times 2x. We'll bring down our minus sign. We will have 7 times 15. 7 times 2x is 14x. We bring down our minus sign. 7 times 15 is 105. These are not like terms, so we're done. Now there's one thing that I did in this problem here that I didn't do over here that we could easily correct. The x should have had a parenthesis around it, and also the 7. You usually want to put the parentheses around the terms that are being multiplied. Okay, now we need to move on to the next page. Now we have our next set of examples. It says simplify by using the distributive property. So as we did before, we would take this 3 times the first term, which is x, plus 3 times the second term, which is 4. 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times 4 is 12. They are not like terms, so we're finished with this problem. Now we come to number 2. We have negative 2 multiplied by the parenthesis of 5a plus 3. So we would take negative 2 and multiply it by both terms. Now, we should put this second negative 2 in a parenthesis because we typically don't like having a plus minus behind each other. Okay, so now we have a negative 2 times 5a, which is a negative 10a, plus negative 2 times 3, which is negative 6. We will add negative 10a, plus a negative is the same thing as saying minus. So this will be negative 10a minus 6. And since these are not like terms, we're done with that problem. Okay, number 3. We would take 5 and multiply it by the parenthesis of y minus 5. So we will have 5 times y minus 5 times 5. 5 times y is 5y minus 5 times 5 is 25. These are not like terms, so you are done. Now we get started with objective C. We have our example. Simplify the following expressions by removing parentheses and combining like terms. Basically what they want us to do here is use the distributive property, then combine the like terms. So we would do 4 times 2x minus 4 times 3 plus 15. 4 times 2x is 8x minus 12, because 4 times 3 is 12, plus 15. We bring down our 8x because there's no like terms, and we add negative 12 plus 15, which will give us a positive 3. There's nothing more we can do here because we do not have like terms. So our final answer is 8x plus 3.